Meanwhile, any minute now, former Republican Congressman George Santos is set to be sentenced in the fraud case that captured national attention. He now faces up to 87 months in prison after pleading guilty to federal wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. His lawyers have called for a 2-year prison sentence. Santos was ousted from Congress in 2023 after the House Ethics Committee found he spent thousands of campaign donation dollars on things like Botox, high-end designer goods, and lavish trips to Atlantic City and Las Vegas. Joining us now, NBC's Rahima Ellis, live outside the courthouse, and Temidayo Aganga-Williams, a former federal prosecutor in the Eastern District of New York. Rahima, what's happening inside the courthouse right now?
Well, Jose, because it's a federal courthouse, we don't have the ability to have someone in there on a computer or a phone who can send us out messages. But what I can say is this, that hearing was scheduled to get underway at 10:30. You showed some video just a moment ago of George Santos walking into the courthouse. So we can only guess that this is getting underway for this 36-year-old disgraced former congressman. There's the expectation that it will not take long. The prosecution has said that it will hold a news conference out here in front of the courthouse at the noon hour following the sentencing. A sentencing, as you pointed out, that George Santos is hoping that he would be given the minimum sentence, and the minimum mandatory for aggravated identity theft is 2 years. The maximum would be 22. The prosecution is asking for something like 87 months, and it's saying that George Santos should be given this because of the posts that he has been making, accusing or basically blaming what happened to him in terms of the charges against him, calling it a witch hunt. And the prosecution saying that this shows that he has no remorse for even the allocution that he presented back in the summer when he pled guilty to 2 counts. But George Santos is saying that he would like to ask the court to ignore those posts that he has made when they are sentencing him. So we hope to find out very soon what's going to happen to George Santos after what's been a career, a public career of him saying one thing and his actual life appearing to be something else, as he presented a whole history, if you will, of falsehoods to the voters and donors here in the Long Island area in order to get elected to Congress in the first place. Jose?
Temidayo, so the defense asking for 2 years, the prosecution for 87 months. What are some of the legal factors the judge is going to be weighing when sentencing Santos?
So, Jose, the judge is going to be considering what we call the 3553 factors, which is a statute that lays out these various considerations. At the core are about the history and characteristics of the defendant. So the judge is going to be considering who is George Santos. And as part of that, she'll be considering his likelihood of committing crimes again, the need to protect the public from him. She'll be considering whether he's been remorseful. She'll be considering the need to promote respect for the rule of law. But at bottom, she's going to decide who is George Santos and compare that to what he did and decide what the public needs to be protected from him going forward. Here, these posts that he has engaged in, I think, are really going to harm him. What it shows is that he's not remorseful, that what he said at his plea, that I'm sorry, that I take responsibility, that is not holding true. His need for attention, his need to speak out has undercut his lawyer's very argument, and I expect the judge will punish him for that and is more likely to impose a sentence closer to what the prosecutors are asking for of 87 months.
And so, Temidayo, if that decision comes down, as Rahima was saying, around noon, he would go right to prison? What's the process there?
So the process, it depends what the government's going to want. So you can be what's called remanded, which means you are taken into custody right there at sentencing. It's often common that the defendants will ask for time to get their affairs in order, and I expect the judge is likely to give that to him, to give him time to prepare for when to surrender and set a date in the future at some point. But it is possible to get remanded. Sometimes folks do not leave the courthouse when they get sentenced, and part of the reason they might not be permitted to leave is whether they will commit more crimes if given their freedom. And he's shown his willingness to kind of thumb the nose of DOJ, so it could be on the table here.